Welcome back to the Talk Yours podcast. Today, Corby's going to be wrong about three things, and we're going to agree on one thing, and that's the show. All right. So getting into it, just right away, we're going to be talking about 5 different things. We're going to be going over our power rankings as we do every week. We're going to be doing that at the end of the podcast today. So if you want to see that, stick around and watch the whole video because that's the only way you can do it. There's no bar at the bottom that you can just move and get to wherever you want in the video. Just ignore that. Don't pay attention to that.
I'm not going to put one just so that you look stupid now.
Okay. Well, Corby's trying to make me look stupid, but I'm going to be doing that later to him anyway, so that'll be okay. We've got a few different topics we want to go over today. We want to talk about the Orlando Magic and Franz Wagner's injury and how this is going to affect them with Paolo becoming their de facto superstar. LeBron James had a very up and down week, to say the least. We're going to talk about what his future should look like in terms of our opinions on it. We're going to talk about the Boston Celtics, who have been on a heater recently, and whether or not they should be looking to contend this year. And we're going to be talking about the Pistons, and are the Pistons truly the contender they appear to be, or are they just a regular season team? So these are our 4 topics today. We're going to be bookmarking them, so if you have any particular interest in one of them, skip to that point. If not, listen to us talk about all of them because clearly you clicked on it. We're interesting or at least funny looking enough for you to want to know what we're talking about. So, we're just going to get right into it. So starting it off, the Orlando Magic's Franz Wagner went down with a high ankle sprain this past week. Now, the injury itself looked a lot worse than it ended up being. I think like the top comment on a lot of the reports was like, is this dude like a Terminator? Is he made of vibranium? Like, it is kind of crazy. He'll be out 2 to 4 weeks, it looks like, which is a pretty good
It's not bad at all.
report back for what the injury could have been. But this does leave the Magic in a scenario where they are without the player that has been their best player this season. And now the responsibility shifts to the guy who I believe should be their best player this season, or at least should have been so far this season, Paolo Banchero. Now, if you guys don't know, me and Corby have very different opinions about Paolo. At the beginning of this year, I said that I believed Paolo would be an All-NBA first team, and Corby said he believed Paolo was the 3rd best player on his own team. Now, that is a very wide range, and you could disagree with both of those opinions, but I think we're here to defend both of those opinions today. So, Corby, starting it off, I want to hear your thoughts on Paolo Banchero and the Orlando Magic's performance with him as their best player.
I think they're going to fall off a cliff. I think they'll start losing games. I do want to correct what you're saying, though. I have changed my opinion a little bit on that. I don't think Paolo Banchero is the 3rd best player on the Magic. I think he is like a 2A, 2B kind of thing with Desmond Bane. Because Desmond Bane has not been... He's had some good games recently, some good performances. By the way, Desmond Bane is a real weirdo if you've been watching what he's been doing this season. Have you seen what's been going on?
I've seen he's been fighting with people, but other than that, I haven't paid attention.
I mean, like, I'm not even going to say it's like he's bad or like I don't know, like some people like actually hate Desmond Bane for it, especially like Hawks fans. But like, so earlier when they played the Hawks, this was a couple weeks ago, Desmond Bane like threw the ball at like Onyeka Okongwu's head after a foul. That was weird. And then recently he did the almost exact same thing. No, it was the exact same thing. Who were they playing? It was sometime in the last week. And it kind of looked like Desmond Bane was a little bit off balance, like he was going to go out of bounds, and he just threw it off the other team's head. Not head, but like the other team's body. But he was nowhere near going. So pretty much Desmond Bane is just trying to randomly start fights with people. I just think that's kind of weird. I just wanted to point it out. But yeah, 2A, 2B, Paolo Banchero as the lead. In my opinion, he is like his perfect player comp right now to me is a Knicks Julius Randle. That's what I see. I see a guy who isn't that efficient as a scorer. He's actually worse as a defender and a rebounder than a Julius Randle on the Knicks. Right now this season, he's been shooting 45.5% from the field, which matches exactly what he did last year. And last year he wasn't very efficient. Whenever he has the ball in his hands, the offense is very stagnant. Like Paolo does need the ball in his hands to be efficient. And I think if you are one of those players, you have to be really, really good. So far, that has not been him. He has been literally the same as last season. And I don't think he was that good last season. Clearly, you have different opinions. You thought he was, an all-star, should have been a superstar kind of caliber player. I don't think his defense is that good. His playmaking isn't that good, especially when you compare him to other star power forwards like a Giannis, like when it comes to passing, like a Zion, like a Jalen Johnson. Like he is now a tier below all of those guys. You were saying that he should be an All-NBA player this season, and I'm wondering, do you still believe in that? Because there's, in my opinion, the season's still early. He's only played 17 games, I think, or 14 games, because he did just sit out a bunch. And he has been on a little bit of a minutes restriction in these last couple games, but he has been the same player. Is that what you've seen?
I mean, I will say that I don't believe that he should be all NBA first team anymore, mostly because you need that.
Did you say first team?
I did say first
That's
team.
ridiculous.
I did, yeah. And you know what? I'll stand by that. I said that. I'll stand by the fact that I'm going to be wrong about that, because there's no way he makes all NBA first team now after missing like games to start the season and having a slow start. Those first 20 games are so important for the for all NBA, all star, all of that stuff. That being said, I do believe he still will be an all NBA player, even if it's just third team. And I guess I could understand what you're saying about his numbers not going up. I could understand what you're saying about him looking the same. I think he's been injured this year. I think he's been trying to find a rhythm with a new team, essentially, because, I mean, a lot of these guys have been hurt in the past with the Magic. Like Jalen Suggs is not a guy who has been healthy consistently for the Magic. Desmond Bane is the new, face on the Magic that is going to take a lot of shots and take a lot of adjustment, right? Franz's game fits better into that adjustment than Paolo's does, but I don't think that means that Paolo is a worse player than Franz, or that he doesn't fit as well into the system. I think it just takes a little more time, and I think this is actually going to be a great opportunity for Paolo to really learn how to play with Desmond Bane, because when in his career has he ever played with that type of guy before? A guy that is like an elite catch and shoot player and can create his own shot off of like one or two dribbles. I mean, you talk about Paolo being ball dominant, and yes, he is ball dominant. And I don't think that works when he's playing next to Franz as well, because they're both decently ball dominant guys.
Paolo is another level of ball dominant compared to Franz.
But I feel
also, Paolo has played with a guy like Desmond Bane. He's played with Desmond Bane. The first 7 or 8 games of the season before Paolo got hurt, the Magic sucked. They only started winning.
Corby.
Took over the
I get it, like 7, 8 games, whatever. It didn't look good. Kyrie and Luka missed the playoffs their first year together, and they played like 20 games together. And then the next year they went to the finals. So sometimes there's an adjustment period, and it takes a little bit of getting used to. Everyone was saying after that first year of Luka and Kyrie, this is stupid. This will never work. 2 super ball dominant guys in the backcourt together. This is never going to work. And then guess what? They went to the NBA finals. So you're on a whole level of inconsistency, because when this same exact thing happens with Trae Young in the first 5 games, all of a sudden now the Hawks are a better team without Trae Young. You said the same thing too.
No, if I said that, I didn't actually mean it, or I just changed my mind. I kind of forget what I was thinking then, but they are better off trading Trae Young for assets for better assets that complement the Hawks right now. But right now, as it stands, the Hawks are better with Trae Young. Those first 5 games are not moving.
I would agree, and I would agree with that.
It didn't sound like it. The way that you were passionately talking about
it. No,
it.
I agree with that now, because at that point in time, I thought that Dyson Daniels could actually be a viable offensive point guard. And I have since discovered that Dyson Daniels is in fact Dyson Daniels, which means that he is an incredible defender, and he is a very, very tertiary option as a scorer.
Abysmal.
Genuinely, I mean, you look at the looks that Trae was getting him, they were much better, and he was just missing them. And then it was this weird dynamic where like it shifted, where Trae got hurt, and at the same time Dyson got more efficient. I don't think those two things are connected anymore after watching more of Dyson's game. I think he just happened to start making shots at that time, and I think if Trae came back and started setting him up well, he would make those shots.
Yeah, because Trae was setting up very well. But we need to get off the Hawks, though.
We can get off the Hawks. I think anyway that yes, that was too small a sample size to judge Trae Young off of. I will admit that now, and I think this is too small a sample size to judge Paolo off of. Additionally, I think Paolo is a guy who, does work best in that sort of like heliocentric role, right? I think.
But you're saying it's justified because he is a top 15 player in the league. And
yes.
By the way, you saying, so obviously with the injuries, making all NBA third team does not mean you're a top 15 player. Most likely it might mean the top 20 to 25 that can stay healthy enough, which by the way, Paolo hasn't stayed healthy. So we'll see if he makes an all NBA team. But essentially you're saying that he's to this point, he has not been an all NBA player.
Yeah.
Right. So he's not only got to play like an all NBA player, he's got to play like more than that.
Yeah.
So you think that obviously he's going to be playing better with Franz out because he gets to dominate the ball more and all that kind of stuff. In these next 2 to 4 weeks, we don't know how long actually Franz will be out. What is he doing? You tell me, who is he? Who is Paolo Banchero?
28, 10, and 7.
28, 10, and 7. Okay. I just want. What are the splits? What is he shooting? I might write this down. I might
48, 35, 73.
48.
35, 73.
Okay. So just by the way, you are predicting him to take a leap because he has never shot that from the field in his career.
I am predicting
He has
him.
never shot that from 3 in his career. He has never done this.
Listen, Paolo
I think
Banchero.
this is the time because he has Desmond Bain. Desmond Bain is going to elevate Paolo Banchero.
Yes.
Like a KCP or like whatever other shooting guard they had couldn't.
Yes.
Interesting. And then when Franz comes back,
I hope that Paolo in these 2 to 4 weeks establishes that the team should be organized around him in terms of how the plays are run, in terms of how the offense is run. And I would hope that it shows that Franz can move to a more secondary role as a ball handler and scorer instead of this shared responsibility that they have. Or that they could just have one of Franz or Paolo on the floor at all times. Because I think having them both on the floor at the same time doesn't do a ton for your offense. I will admit that. I think...
honestly, it kind of hurts their defense because Franz, I'd say, is like an above average defender, but he's not amazing. Paolo, slightly below, but he's not bad or anything.
Yeah.
But like every other Magic player is such a good defender that you kind of... it is kind of better. Honestly, and even someone who is praising Franz is better without Paolo.
Mm-hmm.
And Paolo's better without Franz.
Yeah,
I actually think this duo is so different from a Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown duo that I'm not like suggesting they trade one of them, but it probably would be better.
It would be better. And I actually just had this thought because we were talking about the Hawks. I mean, I wouldn't even be mad at Trae Young going to the Magic and then one of like Paolo or Franz going to the Hawks. And I'd imagine it would probably be Franz because I'd imagine the Hawks would hold on to Paolo. I think that would work well for both teams. It's not something I want to get into too much. But yes, I do agree that Paolo and Franz work better when they are separate from each other and that they don't work as well together as teammates. However, I do believe we've seen this work in recent years. We've seen Luka and Kyrie work. We've seen Austin Reeves and Luka work. We've seen Luka and LeBron work. These types of dynamics can work. It just has to be coached well, and it has to be coached in a way that allows each guy to dominate their own possessions.
But also you're talking about these duos. Paolo Banchero is not Luka Doncic.
No. I'm not saying.
And even you're not saying that.
I'm not saying
Paolo.
So
it's hard for me to put really them in that tier. They can work together.
I'd say it's more comparable right now, Paolo and Franz, to like LeBron and Austin Reeves. I would say that is a fairly decent comparison, except LeBron is obviously a much better passer than Paolo is right now, and that's what you hope Paolo would be able to develop. But I feel like it can work together. I feel like Paolo would either have to become a better three-point shooter or Franz would have to relegate to a little bit more three-point shooting, catch and shoot wise, but I do feel like it can work. I feel like the Lakers are kind of the blueprint when you look at how do we have these 3 stars that are all kind of ball dominant in their own way work together and each have their own, piece of the pie. And I think you can look at that and say, okay, if Paolo performs over the next 2 to 4 weeks, like I personally believe he will, then we legitimately have a foundation in order to enact that sort of system on our team.
And I understand that, but also it's hard. It's just hard to compare those two trios when Luka is so much better than the first option on the Magic and Reeves is so much better than the third option. Or you could say LeBron's so much better than Desmond Bain if you want to say LeBron's the third option.
Yeah.
If you want to say Reeves is even a lot better, and we have our opinions on Reeves. I have my opinions on Reeves.
I mean,
I think he's legit.
I agree that they are better or offensively. Like I agree that they're better offensive trio, but the Magic are a defensive team anyway. You don't need as much offense.
That's true. What's the gap between Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero?
The gap, I think it's the same.
So are you saying Paulo's a top 15 player, or you're saying that because?
So I'd say Paulo's a top 20 player, and Franz is a top 35 player.
So Franz is not an all-star. Everyone
no, wait.
League,
All-Star's 15.
Well, All-Star's 13.
All-Star's
it is top 26.
So but I'd say Paolo is an all-NBA level player and Franz is an all-star level player. I'd say that's the gap. I don't feel like that's ridiculous to say.
I mean, I think it is ridiculous to say. I think that's a pretty crazy take. So how do you justify the Magic being so much better with Paolo being out and with Franz playing? And do you think that, I guess, are the Magic with Franz real and Paolo elevates them, or was that a fake run? And then
genuinely, I think the Magic without one of Franz or Paolo are better than the Magic with both of them at this current moment in time.
So their record's only going to go up.
Yes. That's what I think. I think their record will continue to go up without Paolo, and I think their success this season will be more determined by coaching and how you can get those two guys to work together than it will be by simply Paolo or Franz's individual talent level.
Okay. I mean, we don't have to go on about this for 20, 25 minutes, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the Orlando Magic schedule. And I want you to tell me, I'm just going to list the teams they have to play. And let's say at minimum, Franz misses 2-3 weeks. Let's say that's 10 games or whatever. Okay. I know with the cup, that's going to be pretty weird. By the way, who do you have? Okay, who do you have? Who do you have for the cup?
Who do I have for the cup? Who do you think I have for the cup?
Yeah, the Magic.
I have the Thunder.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. I meant tonight.
Oh, tonight?
So tonight, the Magic and the Heat play.
Magic and the Heat. I got the Magic. The Heat have been on a cold streak, and I think the Magic can come out tonight. I think this is the perfect opportunity for Paolo to come out and really, like, honestly, I'm going to be very disappointed even if he has like a good next couple of weeks after this, because this is the opportunity for Paolo on a more national scale. You're playing in the NBA Cup, which, whatever your opinion on it, it is a more national scale than these other games. And he's got an opportunity to really show something in terms of being a true number one option against a Miami Heat team that has been pretty good this year. I think this is his opportunity to have a little bit of a coming out party, if you can really have one of those as a fourth year player. He's a fourth year player, right? Yeah, fourth year player who's like well established in the league and people know who you are. This is an opportunity, and I think he should take advantage of it, and I hope he does. But yeah, I got the Magic tonight.
Okay, well, I am looking at it, by the way, right now. They are a 1-point favorite, the Magic, $5. We got to do it for the pod.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's no way that Paolo Banchero leads the Orlando Magic to a win against Kalower, against Bam Adebayo, against these bigs. I don't think he's getting anything he wants.
Let's do it.
And let's do it. But yeah, pretty much the schedule for the next, let's say he's probably just going to be out the rest of December. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games minimum. No, 9 games for December. They play the Heat, the Nuggets, the Jazz, the Warriors, the Blazers, the Magic. Wait, I'm stupid. They are the Magic. They are the Blazers, the Hornets, the Nuggets, the Raptors, and the Pacers. So there's probably like 3 easy games there, being the Jazz, being the Hornets, and being the Pacers, and then like 6 on the tougher end. They don't play any true contenders besides the Nuggets twice. Is he leading them to 6-3? How impressive is 5-4? I guess 5-4 is going above 500, and that is, you are playing like probably 6 decent teams. I wouldn't even call the Blazers decent, but yeah.
Yeah, I think he leads them to 6-3. I think they win tonight against the Heat. I think they lose next game against the Nuggets on the road. I think they beat the Warriors and the Jazz. I think they could lose to the Trailblazers because the Trailblazers are one of those teams that I think matches up well with the Magic. I think they beat the Hornets, so that leaves them at 4-2, right? I think they beat the Nuggets at home. I think that's their statement win over this stretch. I think they lose to the Raptors on the road, and then I think they beat the Pacers 6-3. I feel like that's easy. I could see him going 7
over 10 games, because let's call it like Franz played like 2 minutes, or
and then
however many minutes last night.
And then they play the Bulls on January 2nd. Do you think Franz will be back by then?
There's a chance Franz will be back by then.
Because then they go Bulls, Pacers, Wizards, Nets. Oh, so I think they'd be 10-3 at the end of that stretch. I'd hope at least.
Oh yeah. Let's see 10-3. I could probably, I'm just gonna go ahead and give a guess.
I'd say 9-4. I'd be happy with, but
let's say Franz returns versus the Sixers on January 9th, because they're probably gonna play it safe. They are a playoff team.
Yeah. I mean,
it's an easy stretch. I'll probably give them how many games? So 9-4. So 13 games.
Even after that, they play the Sixers, then the Pelicans, Grizzlies again, Hornets. Like they could really be safe. They could really be safe with Franz, depending on how this team is going.
I'll go 7-6. Because I think you listed 13 games. I'll say 7-6. I think obviously that they'll be above 500. Not only are the Magic good, but they are playing some bum ass teams.
Yeah.
But those tough games, I don't think Paul was built for it. But we will see.
I say 9-4.
Remember this.
And I'll also say, looking at their schedule ahead, the Miami Heat obviously have the personnel to guard Paolo Banchero, which I think is why tonight would be an extremely promising sign if he's able to perform. The Nuggets don't really have anybody right now with Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown out. The Jazz don't have anybody that I would say I like matched up against Paolo. The Warriors, you could say Jimmy and Draymond, so that's a decent matchup against Paolo. The Trailblazers have Kamara. That's a good matchup. The Hornets, you could put Miles Bridges on them, but I don't think the Hornets really have anybody that matches up with Paul.
Paolo's dropped 30.
Again, they play the Nuggets. That's what I'm saying. I feel like if he can, I feel like he should average
like
30 over this stretch. I mean, I said 28, 10, and 7. I'd be happy with like 38, 10, and 6. Sorry, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, not 38, 30. Okay, chill. 30, 30, 10, and like 6, 5.5 over this stretch. 10 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 6 assists, whatever. Yeah. Then they play the Pacers, Bulls, Pacers, Wizards. Like there should not be many guys over this stretch that can actually guard Paolo. So yeah, this is either going to be very vindicating or very damning of my opinion about Paolo Banchero over this next stretch, because if Paolo Banchero is the guy I believe he is, he should perform well over the stretch. And if Paolo Banchero is the guy you believe he is, if he performs like average or below average over this stretch and the team does as a result, and yeah, I don't know how much more I can defend him, honestly.
So yeah, we will see. Only time will tell.
Yeah.
I don't need these glasses anymore. Let's move on to the next topic. I don't even have a cool intro for it. Actually, you know what? I'll just say it. I think that it is really sad when NBA superstars play in the NBA for way too many years and end up retiring because they have to and not because they want to. I think the best example of this, not the best, one of them is Vince Carter. Vince Carter played 22 seasons and was like a 6-point per game scorer on the Atlanta Hawks in his last season. I think Carmelo Anthony, he didn't even end on too bad of a stretch, but he was like struggling to get a job, trying to get the job for the Lakers. And for the Lakers, he's a pure scorer and only averaged like 10 points per game. That was pretty sad. And I just hate when athletes do this. Another one that is going to be Chris Paul, who was great with the Spurs. And then this year, barely got playing time on a terrible Clippers team, and then obviously the whole drama happened, which we never even really talked about. But
yeah,
he's gonna have to retire. He will retire after the season, and I don't even think he'll get re-signed. And if he is, he's not gonna play much because he's not very good right now.
I mean, I could see actually like someone like Dallas just signing him for like a mentorship deal, essentially. You know, get him with Cooper Flag, get him like a point guard that actually plays with him and get him ball like 15 minutes a game.
Maybe Blazers with like Scoot Henderson.
Blazers could go for that.
Dude.
But because we've seen what he did with Shea, and that honestly he deserves way more credit for that than he gets. In my personal
opinion,
he'll
be a great NBA head coach.
He will be. But yeah, the problem with Chris Paul and with these guys, again, think about how people perceive Chris Paul now. Like there is a very thin line between being in the twilight of your career and getting appreciation and being beyond that point and kind of being looked at in a worse light because you performed or attempted to perform at an NBA level at 40 years old and you just weren't able to do what you used to do. Chris Paul was a like top 5 MVP candidate for a good like 5 years of his career. Pretty consistently, right? When he was with the Hornets in those first couple of years with the Clippers, he was always a guy that even in spite of his lack of like elite scoring, I would hesitate to say scoring efficiency because that dude was really efficient, but elite scoring still was looked at as a superstar because he was so good as a point guard and his passing was so good, which is actually a testament to how good he is given how we perceive distribution heavy players and how much we value scoring in terms of how we value players in the NBA. But now at this point, I mean, I feel like that the Suns run, right? That was kind of the last time like people really looked at Chris Paul and said like, this is a guy who is elite and is still an elite point guard. And then after that point, he, went to the Warriors and then he went to the Spurs and then he went to the Clippers. And I feel like on all of those teams, like when he got traded for Jordan Poole, people were like, Chris Paul for Jordan Poole? Which actually is kind of insane, like looking back on it, that people thought it was so unfair of a trade.
And
but
it was. That's the sad part
it was. And so anyway, to kind of...
I think it's sad. I will say, though, I'm happy he had that Spurs stint. I like the Spurs stint. Unfortunately, Wemby couldn't stay healthy, but that team could have been a play-in playoff team. And
I like it too.
Chris Paul and Wemby do that. And Chris Paul, you would think, was probably mentoring Wemby, giving him good advice.
I mean, Castle. Look at how Castle is playing this year. Like, I would actually, if I'm the Spurs, I'd be like, you know what, Chris, you want to come back and catch a 1-year deal? Come hang out with Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper. Like,
yeah, the problem is, it's just there's so many guards on that roster that Chris Paul knows he's not going to play. I don't even know if
Chris Paul trying to manage like a whole classroom of like guards, just like, yeah, you sit down. Hey, stop it. No talk. I'll separate you. Like,
I'll wait.
Yeah.
Dude. But yeah, Chris Paul, even though I did enjoy the Spurs stint, probably should have after the Suns because even after the playoff run, he was still good. He was still good with KD and with Ayton and all that. But he probably should have retired. I think it just would have looked better for his career, probably his mental, because he hasn't been very good. And then he has, now he's being kicked off the Clippers. One star who did it very great. Oh, another one, Shaquille O'Neal. The fact that we even, talk about Shaquille, like Celtics Shaq, because of how bad he was in the Celtics.
I genuinely think if Shaq retired on the Heat, we would look at him way differently than we do. Because there's so many people that look at Shaq and go, okay, his peak was amazing, but if you look at the tail end of his career, it was poor, right? If he retired on the Heat as a guy that just recently won a championship and was still a pretty dominant player, if not, the player he was in LA or Orlando, we would look at him completely differently. But those stints with the Cavs and the Celtics really did hurt people's opinions of him, and the Suns. Those 3 stints were really not great. I think even if he retired on the Cavs, I think even if then it's like, okay, he went and played with LeBron. It was like a cool whatever for a year. And then he retires and then he's done. Celtics Shaq is just like, the most famous clips of Celtics Shaq are like that one dunk he had. Like I think it was like one of his only dunks that season. And people were like, oh my God, he can still dunk, which is just crazy. Kobe hitting that and one over him and staring at him. And then like the low lights. That's what people remember from Celtics Shaq.
Yeah, it's really sad. But there are some players who did it pretty well, and it's going to be something that I'm about to suggest for LeBron James. Michael Jordan. Now, would it have been amazing if after this the second three-peat he retired? Yes, obviously. But he was still really good on the Wizards, and he had deserved all-star appearances in those 2 Wizards
right. I mean,
Wizards years.
We can look at his averages. I'm pretty sure.
Talk about maybe he should have retired a little bit before, but Kobe Bryant was still a good player in that last year. He dropped 60 points in his final game.
Kobe,
even he waited a little too long too.
I love Kobe. That last year was bad. I watched a lot of that last year, and yeah, the last game was amazing. He had 60 points. That dude just had free reign to shot chuck the entire season because they knew the roster was bad. They knew it was his retirement tour. I think,
but even but hit still that year is better than most of these superstars.
Yes, no, I would agree with that. I would say Kobe Bryant's last year is better than Carmelo's, better than Vince Carter's, better than Derrick Rose's, better than Shaq's, better than Kevin Garnett's. I'd say Tim Duncan had a pretty good.
Oh my gosh,
Paul Pierce. Tim Duncan had a pretty good. I would say Tim Duncan is the other one that I feel like had a really good end to his career, where it was like he's not the Tim Duncan that was an MVP and like a 15-time All Defensive player, but he is still a like valuable competitive player, starting power forward, starting center on a really good team, But even with Tim Duncan, Tim Duncan was still pretty good, but yeah, he was clearly obviously still out of his prime. Let's get to LeBron James. Yeah.
LeBron James, in my opinion, I would love to see him retire. And I love watching LeBron James. I do. I want to see him play as long as I can, but I kind of don't at the same time. When it comes to these greats, they should retire as all-star players. I mean, we're talking about like, yeah, a Kareem, a Jordan, a LeBron. When you're that good, I want to see you end your career that good. I mean, wouldn't it just be amazing? And I know it's kind of like daydreaming right now. I can't be like fantasizing, but look, if LeBron James right now said, I'm going to retire after this season and then won a championship on the Lakers, that would be pure cinema. Now, that is a long shot because the Thunder exists, because the Lakers, while they have a good record, are they like true contenders with their defense being that bad? I don't know. But I just think I don't want to see LeBron get to the point where he's a 15 point per game scorer guy. I don't want to see that where he's a 3rd or 4th scoring option. And I understand he just had an amazing night. I don't know when this clip or when this pod's going to be uploaded. But yeah, a couple of days ago, he did drop like 29 points or something. He had
11 straight in the fourth
11
quarter.
straight in the fourth quarter with this like tough step back mid-range to ice the game.
Gave him this,
Every other game he sucked. And I say suck as in it's LeBron James. It's this guy who's supposed to be the greatest or second greatest player of all time. Like, he has been bad.
Like still a top 50 player in the league, but he's like been bad by his standards.
Yeah. And I've heard the point of some people trying to say that LeBron James, he's only 5 games into the season. He's just warming up. He's warming up, but he's old. I mean, how much more can his body warm up?
Well, yeah,
every game that he plays, he's more like, he literally has been saying he'll just wake up one day in pain because of his age, like because he has
like
arthritis.
yeah, like look at these. Like he just said that. I think the reporter asked him like, "Oh, what what are these injuries about? Like, where are they?" And he's like, "It's called old. You wake up and things hurt that didn't hurt the day before." And you know what? I really respect him for saying that, because I feel like a lot of guys would not say that. Their ego would be hurt by that, and they would, hesitate to say that. But yeah, you look at these injury designations: out with sciatica, out with arthritis, out with sciatica. These are like the reasons my dad can't go out and do yard work with me on days when we plan to do it, because it's like sciatica's acting up or his arthritis is acting up. And my dad's 60. So like LeBron James has played 20 plus years in the NBA. He's put his body through things that most people can't even like think about in terms of his level of training and preparation and conditioning and dieting and, commitment and all of this. That just takes a toll on your body. And I would rather see 1 year of LeBron James going, I'm going to retire, and going as hard as he possibly can and saying, screw the injuries, screw the age, I'm going for a championship this year and nothing's going to stop me, than 3 more years of LeBron kind of trying to temper his body and continue to play and, slowly fall off. I mean, I don't see LeBron ending his career as a 15-point per game guy. I just don't want us to get to a point where he's averaging his career low in his final season. That's kind of the point I don't want us to get to.
I mean, I think no matter what, he's going to kind of do that this season, though.
No, I think he'll average, because he averaged 20.9 in his first year as a rookie. I think he'll average like 21, 22 this year.
I mean, what's he at right now? Probably around.
I mean, he's probably, let me check his stats, but so my guess would be right now he's hovering around 20. Right now he is averaging, oh my God.
What?
Never mind.
Yeah, I was about
He
to
is
say.
not averaging 20. He's averaging 16 points a game.
Yeah. Because that one good game before last game, I swear he wasn't touching 20.
You know what's crazy too? He's only averaging 4.7 rebounds per game. Like his assists are still great. His assists are 7.6. So his assist to turnover is actually insane. 7.6 assists to 1.9 turnovers.
That's actually crazy.
So
I mean, that's the thing.
This is the
if
best.
If LeBron wanted to, he could play another 5 years because of his intelligence alone.
I mean, this might be the best playmaking year of his career, and I am even including the year when he led the league in assists, because he had 4 turnovers per game this year, or that year. 8 assists to 2 turnovers is crazy. That's a 4-to-1 assist to turnover ratio.
His defense hasn't been that bad. I will say, dude, he is still, like, the way he scores is still fast breaks. He is still faster than a lot of these NBA players in their 20s, which is ridiculous. And I'm not saying LeBron James is a bad player right now. I think we had this discussion. I don't think he's an all-star caliber player. I think he's an overpaid player, unfortunately. I mean, it's LeBron James. He's amazing.
That is just crazy.
But he's getting $50 million a year. He's barely a top 50 player.
The concept to me of LeBron James not making the all-star game is insane. I can't even fathom.
I'm not saying he won't make it.
I think he
will. Not that caliber of a player.
No. I mean, I agree he'll make it. I'm just saying, like, that idea that we are in that place right now is crazy to think. Like,
and I don't want it to get any worse. I want this season to be him ending on, because if he retired, it would be a high. I'm sorry, your bad season averaging. Let's say he gets it up a little bit. He warms up a little bit and it averages 18 points per game. That is an 18 points per game, 7 assists per game, 4.5 boards. Which, by the way, it's because one, he's old, and they don't even need his rebounds because they have Luka, they have DeAndre Ayton, they have all these guys who actually can rebound.
Yeah.
But him doing that would be one of the greatest last seasons of all time.
It would be. I think, and it's not that I think LeBron should be prioritizing his legacy, but the longer he plays and the worse he gets, the more it does, in small ways, hurt his legacy as a player, right?
I think it installs fans' brains.
There is a I think, lost art in a lot of situations, actually, called bowing out gracefully. I think people knowing when it is time to call it is a lost art and ending on a high. I think you see like so many successful people do this, where they just keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. And obviously I love the passion and the drive to continue to do that. But the problem is sometimes you just get to a point where if you continue to do this, people are going to have that image of you in their brain. That lesser image.
I'm going to be honest, because I didn't start watching basketball until LeBron was a Cavalier again for the second time. He's played more seasons that I've been watching with the Lakers than the Cavs. I'm going to remember, if he keeps playing after the season, if he plays one more season, I'm probably going to remember him more as a Laker than a Cavalier, which is sad because he is by far and away the better player on the Cavaliers or the Heat or the,
See, I don't, so as someone who's been watching the NBA since I was like what, 4? So like 2007, 2008, mostly Lakers games. But I do remember some of those Cavaliers playoff runs, like the early ones. I remember them playing the Magic and him hitting that shot in like game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, and then I remember them losing the Eastern Conference Finals.
You know, you say mostly Lakers games and you're wearing a Kobe shirt. People are gonna think you're a Lakers fan, dude.
Are they? I mean, I guess they would.
I mean, it would make sense if I was just watching this pod and you said that.
I'm not a Lakers fan. I'm a Warriors fan, but I am a Kobe Bryant fan. Kobe Bryant got me into watching basketball. Originally, I remember my dad putting on. That's like actually one of my first memories. I remember watching Kobe Bryant. This sounds so stupid, dude. I'm gonna go on a tangent for a second. Okay. I remember, 4 years old, right, playing with whatever doohickey my parents got me that was like an entertaining little toy for a 4-year-old. I remember my dad was sitting in the living room and I remember hearing a noise. And I remember just like, what is that? You know, so I waltz my way over to the living room and I'm like, Dad, what are you watching? And he's like, I'm watching a basketball game. And we're like, can I watch it with you? And he's like, sure. So he picks me up, puts me on his lap, I'm sitting there watching the game. And I have this vivid memory of seeing Kobe Bryant for the first time, like while watching the national anthem. And I'm like, I've never seen basketball before in my life, but I know that dude is important. Like I know and I don't know if it was just like they were focusing on him with the camera or something like that. Yeah. But I just remember from that moment, I was like, I want to watch this dude every time he plays basketball.
That's so crazy because I don't think you start remembering memories until you're 4 years old or maybe like 3.
Yeah.
So that's like your first memory ever.
Yeah.
Your first memory.
I remember watching that game and then going out because my dad had a basketball hoop he liked to go shoot on. And I remember watching that game, going out, grabbing a basketball and like desperately trying to make a basket on this 10-foot hoop that I just couldn't even get the ball close to. Right.
That's some basketball rom-com intro.
Yeah.
I want to be him. And then you go outside, he's throwing every shot. Just I know, the worst sport ever. Boom.
Oh man. But yeah, no, not a Lakers fan. Kobe Bryant fan though.
I didn't interrupt you. What were you saying?
Anyway, so I what I was talking about with LeBron, he's shooting the second worst field goal percentage of his entire career. So he hasn't shot this bad since his rookie season, which it's a major jump. 41.7% his rookie season, 64.4% now. This dude has been insanely efficient for his whole career. But yeah, almost a career low in field goal percentage, a career low in rebounds. Obviously, his assists are high. In terms of minutes per game, I'd assume this is also a career low. Yeah, a career low in minutes per game as well. We're just getting to a point in LeBron James' career where I feel like, and I'm not saying, and I don't think either of us are saying LeBron James should retire on a talent basis because LeBron James is talented enough to play in the league as a like player in the league if he fully shifted to like role player eventually for like another 5-10 years, genuinely. It's more
IQ
like
and size alone.
The IQ and the size, like it'd be crazy. But the thing about it is more so that LeBron James is a guy who we want to remember fondly and we want to remember as the LeBron James. I don't want to see a Vince Carter arc out of LeBron James ever. I don't want to see a Carmelo Anthony arc. I don't even want to see him look as bad as Kobe did in those last years where he was just an inefficient shot chucker a lot of the time.
Also, the Bryce James thing isn't happening. That was the vision. That was cool. Everyone thought, okay, a couple years ago, okay, he could play with his son, Bronny. Oh, but what if he could also play with Bryce? Bryce hasn't played a single minute. I think, is he part of Arizona? I think it might be.
He's Arizona. Yeah.
He's Arizona.
Which, don't get me wrong, is a great basketball program, but
if you're a draft pick, you're playing on that team.
Maybe. I mean, some people redshirt their freshman.
The end of the
some people redshirt their freshman year.
Yeah, but 7th, 8th man. I mean, like you're gonna be a 7th or 8th man if you're an NBA player. You're gonna play.
You'd hope.
You're not gonna be a DNP. So yeah,
Bronny got drafted. And Bronny didn't play most of his college career.
And you're not waiting for Bronny to be good because, quite frankly, I don't think it'll ever happen.
No.
Honestly, I kind of think because Mateen, he's a Lakers fan. He was sending me Kobe Buffkin G League highlights because the Lakers got Kobe Buffkin. He's been playing better than Bronny. I'm so mad the Hawks got rid of him. Anyway, sorry,
No, you're all good.
Get depressed real quick.
Yeah.
By the way, I just wanted to real quick say my first basketball memory was 2015, so it was 10, 11 years ago. It wasn't even like a good memory for being a Hawks fan because my first game was a Hawks game. That the memory is Paul Pierce in the playoffs hitting a game winner on my team while he was on the Wizards.
Really?
Yes. It was when the Hawks, because I never started paying attention because my family's they're big football. Like they don't care that much. They'll watch basketball a little bit, but it's mostly football. And so I didn't care I was never given a reason to care until we won 60 games. And then once we won 60 games, it's like, oh, we can watch some basketball.
Yeah.
Sick. Yeah, I watched Paul Pierce game. My favorite team.
That was the year they went to the
It wasn't even like a prime Paul Pierce.
But that was the year they went to the conference finals. So
it was. So it was still a good year, but that was my first memory.
that's crazy.
The toughest mid-range, like contested. It was like double teamed.
That was the one he banked in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you call game or you call bank? I call game.
Yeah.
That's still cold.
Paul Pierce.
Paul Pierce is such an interesting guy because I feel like a lot of the things that come out of his mouth just irritate me. But then he'll say things like that, or I was sick of getting a taste. I wanted the whole load. You know,
He's a funny dude. I respect players. Like I love the Jeff Teague players who like they'll make fun of their careers at the same time.
Yeah.
But I like players who will just be like cocky. Just I was the best player. He still thinks he's better than LeBron James. And it's like
so that's the other thing too. I actually wanted to talk about briefly in terms of this retirement thing. I feel like there are, like we talked about Shaq. Shaq's image was saved by the fact that he went to TNT and got super popular off that, because now people think of Shaq in that way. Because Shaq's been with TNT for 13, 14 years now. Not TNT anymore. I guess just that crew that's on ESPN now. But that crew's been together for 13, 14 years. That's almost longer than he played in the NBA for. And it's longer than he was ever bad for. So people remember that. So if LeBron James shifted into like a different role after he retired, where he was still in the NBA spotlight and he was performing like as a coach or as an analyst or something like that, that makes it different. But I feel like for a player of LeBron James' caliber, which is crazy because we're talking about Shaquille O'Neal, but LeBron James, let's just say it, is on another tier above Shaquille O'Neal, I think. And because I think there's those like top 2, 3 guys and then everybody else, right?
Yeah.
So LeBron James, I don't think should aim to do that. I don't think that should be an idea within his head.
I don't want to see him do the whole TNT thing, because as much as I will shit on Shaq because he is really annoying as an analyst sometimes, he's good at it. He is good. And the fact that I will want to watch him, I will want to watch the TNT halftimes, or now it's ESPN or whatever. I never have an urge to watch a LeBron James podcast. I'm just being honest. That dude is like it's kind of okay. I don't know how to feel, because I actually also at the same time I like listening to Tom Brady. I know a lot of people don't. I like listening to Tom Brady when he's calling football games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like listening to LeBron, and I want to, but like he's just so full of shit. He's so full of shit. He will just like say, he will say whatever's popular. He will say he'll lie. He'll do all these things. He won't give his true opinion. Yeah, say what you want about. I think Jeff Van Gundy is so annoying, but at the same time, you can never say he's fake. He's always saying what he actually felt. What he was doing.
He will always say exactly what he feels. Exactly what he feels. This is what I will give LeBron credit for. He does like the barbershop show, or he did it, the shop or whatever. That I actually like, because it's not LeBron being the focal point. It's LeBron organizing all of these people together, and the conversations they have are really interesting. Like, I feel like LeBron is really good as that sort of moderator, because I think he's got really good people skills. I think he, has a very like commanding presence in terms of like the things he talks about, when it's not focused on LeBron James telling a story about a book he read one time that he obviously never read, that he's on the first page on every time he reads it. Like, you've seen those pictures, right?
No, I have. Yeah,
like
being on the first page.
I feel like when he organizes these people, like something like that would be interesting to me.
I like when LeBron James talks about anything but basketball. I hate when he talks basketball. He never gives a good opinion, or he'll give like his breakdown of like the Lakers game with Steve Nash and stuff like that. But he'll never be like, yeah, Jaylen Brown's overrated. That's what you gotta love. Shaq. Shaq does it. And
Shaq does it, but LeBron is a great analyst. Like, listening to LeBron analyze the game is really enlightening a lot of the time.
But I don't want to see LeBron James in a Tim Legler role. Is the problem.
Ew.
Because
I don't want to see that either. That's gross. Yeah. No offense to Tim Legler. Tim Legler is amazing at what he does, but I just don't want to see LeBron James in that.
I don't want to see the greatest basketball player be put in that little of a role.
Like I don't even want to see LeBron, like the way Michael Jordan owned like Michael Jordan's image was ruined by the fact that he owned the Hornets and like was a part of that whole disaster and contributed to it,
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see LeBron James do that. Yeah, I think, wow, we went on for a long time about that. Yeah. LeBron James, I think we both agree, should retire after this season. I think that would be the best, as sad as that would be for NBA fans. I just, the decline in his play, I think, shows that. So let's move on. Let's move on from the Lakers to their biggest rivals. The Boston Celtics are a team that just 2 years ago were finals champions. Not even 2 years ago. Were NBA finals champions and were looking like they were unstoppable in the East and on a collision course with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, after the Jayson Tatum injury at the start of the season, people were looking at them as a potential lottery team. And at the start of the season, they kind of looked that way. They did not look very good. Derek White did not have a good start to the season. A lot of people thought, including myself, that this was indicative of the fact that Derek White was a role player and couldn't step up into a larger role. My, oh my, what a mistake I made. That is my fault for doubting bald Jesus, Derek White. Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard, Neemias Queta, this entire team. Neemias Queta, because that dude has been playing the center role extremely well for the Boston Celtics. This team has far exceeded my expectations. They're sitting at third in the Eastern Conference right now, 15-10 on a 5-game, 6-game win streak, something like that. They've won all 4 games this last week. The Boston Celtics look like a team that is a piece away from being a championship contender in a lot of ways. And that piece is potentially on a timeline to return by March, April in Jayson Tatum. Corby, in your personal opinion, do you believe the Boston Celtics, or rather Jayson Tatum, should try to return to the Boston Celtics this season as soon as possible, and will doing so make them contenders?
I do believe Jayson Tatum should try and come back if he is 100%. And if he comes back while they're 100%, yes, they have a slight chance at making the NBA Finals. But I still think, even with this Boston Celtics team being as good as they are, this team is not ready. They are not the 2024 Celtics who won the championship. They are not the 2025 Celtics who probably should have if it wasn't for injuries and you know, the Knicks being who the Knicks
I don't know about should have won the championship, because
I mean, they were the best team in the East.
Yeah, but OKC was still, waiting for in the finals.
Then sure. But then,
and the Pacers were, let's give credit to the Pacers. The Pacers were playing like the best team in the East at that time.
I'll give them credit, yeah, but like talent-wise, it should have been the Celtics.
Should have, but also judge it off the performance at the time.
The Boston Celtics saw that Jayson Tatum had this big Achilles injury and said, hey, let's ship everyone out and let's have a rebuilding year.
Mm-hmm.
They traded Porzingis for essentially nothing. I don't even remember who they got. They traded Drew Holiday for Anthony Simons and like whatever. And the Celtics are just unfortunately exceeding expectations. I do think they have a shot, and that's good. And if Jayson Tatum comes back, they can still make the NBA Finals. But the team isn't ready. They don't have a big man. If they really want to contend, and maybe what I'm trying to say is if they are to rush Jayson Tatum, then they need to buy big at the trade deadline. I just don't know how many good bigs are available, because this team is on fire, second in offense in the whole league, which is very Boston Celtics-esque. But they're doing it without Jayson Tatum. When Jayson Tatum comes back, you think they're going to be the best offense in the league. I think, right? Is it right now the Rockets? They're a better offensive team than the Rockets.
Yeah.
It's still crazy that it is the Rockets, but or let's say it's like a Nuggets or whatever. That with Tatum, they are a better offensive team than that. But the way that they won the championship was through defense. 1 through 5 being elite defenders. They had a Drew Holiday on their team. They still have a Derek White. But they don't have that right now. They have Anthony Simons as a backup. They have Peyton Pritchard as a starter. I think Peyton Pritchard is a starter caliber player. He is a legit, I think right now he's probably like 17 points per game this season on like 5 assists or whatever. I think on a different team, he could be a 20-7 kind of guy. But for the Celtics team, you don't want him in that role. You want him being a backup, and you want a defensive guard. And I think they need a legitimate big who could play 28, 30 minutes in the playoffs, which I don't think Queta is that, or Queta, however you say it. And they need another perimeter guard who can actually guard.
Okay.
Jordan Walsh can't be that. Jordan Walsh is great, but he is a forward. He is someone who would take over when Tatum and Brown are out and replacing them. But they need a starting point guard like a Marcus Smart, which they're not going to get. Like a Drew Holiday, which they're not going to get. And I don't know how many of those are available. OKC has half of them in the league. OKC has half of the guarding point guards in the league. So I don't know where they'd get that. And I think there are just other teams that are more complete. I think the Celtics are great. They're the best offense in the league. But that defense, I don't know. Like, are you playing Tillman? Are you playing, like, I don't even know who their backup big
Corbin,
is consistently beat.
Here's my thing about the defense argument is look at what the Pacers did last year with Tyrese Halliburton as their point guard, who is a solid defender, but not one of these elite defenders that you're talking about. I don't think Andrew Nembhard is one of these elite defenders that you're talking about, but they played team defense. if you can play team defense and play connected defense, you can still defend well even in the playoffs.
But do you know what the Pacers had that the Celtics don't?
TJ McConnell.
Well, yeah, technically. But technically they don't have TJ McConnell. A defensive big. It's so much easier to guard when you have a big, when you have an Al Horford, when you have a Kristaps Porzingis, who even if he's not a good one-on-one defender, if you have a rim protector, and I know I think we were talking about, you think rim protection is overrated. You need rim protection. No one on the Celtics is giving you that. I don't care how many blocks Keita is giving you. Keita, whatever it is.
I just think I don't think rim protection itself is overrated. I think there are just lots of guys that can provide that for you in the league. And
it's not a single Celtic that's providing.
No, but you're saying you don't feel like they could make a move to obtain a guy like that. You're saying you don't think
they have to make multiple moves. I don't think Peyton Pritchard could buy in defensively to be a Tyrese Halliburton. So Tyrese Halliburton isn't great one-on-one, but he'll get you big blocks and big steals.
So do you? Okay, let's establish this right now, because I personally do believe that the Celtics are a contender if Jayson Tatum comes back, and I believe.
And what's contender?
And I believe
contender's a very vague term.
I believe they have a top 5 chance in the NBA of making it of winning the finals if Jayson Tatum comes back.
Is that worth Jayson Tatum potentially coming back a little too early?
I don't think he needs to, given how they're performing right now. I think his return timeline has been March, April for the last month and a half. And if he just sticks on that timeline and comes back in April, yes, absolutely. I think it's worth it.
What do you think? Do you think the Celtics are a top 6 seed? If you had to predict right now,
without the East,
without Jayson Tatum playing the rest of
a top 6 seed, so number 1, number 2, probably Pistons.
You believe in the Magic?
I believe in the Magic. So the Magic,
Pistons,
I believe.
Magic. I'm assuming you have Knicks as a lock.
I have Knicks as a lock. I have Pistons as a lock. I have Magic as what I think will be. If I had to guess, this is the top 6 in the East will look like some combination of Pistons, Knicks, Magic, Cavs.
Now there's the Sixers, there's the Hawks.
I personally believe in the Hawks. And I think I would take the Celtics over the Raptors as of right now. So I would say yes. The Celtics.
So there's 9 clear teams because we're not believing in the Bucks or the Bulls nowadays.
Right.
So the 3 play-in teams you think it is the
Sixers, Heat, Bucks, Raptors. I think the Raptors will be the 7th seed.
Wow. So you think without Jayson Tatum, the Celtics are better than the Raptors? They're better than the Heat.
They've been showing it this season.
I mean, so far they're 1 game back. And I know the Celtics are on a heater right now.
They're one,
but the Heat have not had Tyler Hero, but this is assuming the Heat are healthy. We're not assuming that they're healthy, but they are.
But
with
the
their
Heat,
players.
since getting healthy, have been worse. I mean,
not really.
Tyler Hero came back, they've been worse record-wise.
I mean, Tyler Hero's only played. He didn't play the last 2 games, so the Heat lost their last 2 games,
and they lost the game before that too, so they've lost their last 3.
So they lost the last 3. Hero only played in the first one.
That's fair.
Hero's been playing great. So you would just think that the rest of the Heat players are going to catch up.
You'd hope. The thing is, I believe. I think Jaylen Brown is a better player than Tyler Hero. I don't think that's a crazy take. Obviously, Bam Adebayo and Derek White are 2 very different players. I think they both serve their roles extremely well. I feel like they're 2 of the best fitting guys in their roles in the NBA. And I would take Bam over Derek White. But then after that, the Miami Heat do have some unknowns when it comes to their roster. Kelaware is obviously great, but his minutes have been extremely weird in terms of whether he's getting 25, 30 minutes a game or whether he's getting 15 a game. And I believe more in a Peyton Pritchard than I would in a Jaime Jaquez at this point in time. And Anthony Simons, I feel like, is a better scoring option than anybody else beyond that the Miami Heat have. Or they have Norman Powell. What am I saying? Powell. Yeah, so Norman Powell, I would throw up there too.
Kelaware.
They have a very good team
depth wise.
But the difference really could be Jayson Tatum coming back for that last month. Because if Jayson Tatum comes back,
the regular season, they have to. Because
I know, but I'm saying,
how confident are you in a Celtics team that is in the play-in tournament? Now you might be confident in them to win that one.
Play-in tournament. Here's what I think. I think if you're the Celtics and you're a 7 or 8 seed and you win your first play-in tournament game and you're going to run up against a team like the Knicks in the first round and you have Jayson Tatum, the Knicks would be like, "Are you shitting me? We got the number 2 seed in the East just to play the Celtics with Jayson Tatum." I feel like that is a tough matchup for both teams. I personally, do I take the Knicks or the Celtics in that series? I would probably lean taking the Knicks in that series at that point in time because Jayson Tatum will still kind of be coming back from injury. So yes, it probably is important for the Celtics to get a top 6 seed in the East in order to play a team within that like 3 to 6 range. That's either going to be the Cavs or the Raptors or the Magic or the Hawks.
So they
or one of
should
those.
try and rush Jayson Tatum back.
Rush is a hard. It just depends on where they're at. I think if they are I think if they can maintain what they're doing right now, I don't think you rush them back. I think if they drop well below, I don't think you rush them back.
Remember how far away the trade deadline is from the end of the season, because the original plan was for the Celtics to rebuild this year, potentially get a good draft pick, which right now is looking like won't happen. They might get like a middle of the road, like a 20th pick, but that's not going to happen. But it was to acquire a big again, either in the draft or free agency, and then another perimeter defending guard in the draft or in free agency.
That's true.
Now, if you want to contend, you have to do that at the deadline.
So here's the schedule they have coming up, because I think it matters what their record is at that point in time. They have a tough schedule. They have the
deadline's not for another 2 months, so you'd have to list off a lot of games.
But like, so I'm not going to list all of these off. But just looking at it, they have easier sections, but they do have a overall decently challenging schedule coming up over the next couple months. Just as I look through these teams, they've got to play the Heat a couple times. They've got to play the Nuggets. They've got to play. I think they play the Raptors a couple times. They play the Pistons a couple times.
By the way, the Celtics do have the 8th easiest schedule remaining in the league.
Damn, so they must have like a really easy schedule towards the end of the season. Yeah.
So what? So let's say that. Let's say that towards the end of the season they have a really easy schedule, and you're at the deadline, and you're the 6th seed or whatever, or the 7th.
I think you make a move. I think you make a move to get a legit big, because you need that for next year anyway.
Yeah, so might as well. The problem is you do have to give up assets. I don't know who they're giving up, because I know Celtics fans, they believe in a guy like, I don't know if they believe in like a Baylor Shireman, but they believe in Jordan Walsh. They believe in Hugo Gonzalez. They believe in, obviously.
But if you could get what's Derek Lively's value right now?
I was thinking because I was thinking about this earlier. The only bigs that would be available would probably be the Mavericks bigs.
Mm-hmm.
What other team is willingly going to give up their good big men?
Yeah,
none. So honestly, I don't even think Lively might not be on the table because he fits a Cooper Flag timeline. You might just have to go with Gafford. And then Gafford, how good is Gafford as a player? The Mavericks did make the finals with Gafford.
I like Gafford. I like Gafford as a big. He's a good rim protector. He's efficient around the rim.
And yeah, the Celtics don't need too much. Obviously,
you're not asking this guy. You're asking this guy to be the fifth option off.
But also with the Joe Mazzulla mindset, they'd probably try and get a stretch big.
Yeah,
now you try and get a stretch big who could kind of defend, which is why Porzingis was such a good fit, which is why Al Horford was such a good fit.
So
and
Jay Huff, is Jay Huff a stretch big? I feel like he can shoot, but the Pacers probably.
I think Huff has been shooting.
The Pacers probably aren't giving him. If you could get but the problem is, there's not very many stretch bigs that shoot well, that you would be able to get for a limited return.
Because Keita's not a shooter.
So, but I think an option like Gafford is fine, because Keita can't really shoot, and their offense looks great right now.
Yeah, but they're not trying to contend right now. That's the problem. That might be what separates you.
Could be.
And I do think that might be a recipe that would help out beating the OKC Thunder in the finals. Because
it could.
You got to think about it.
It could for sure.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I personally just think the Celtics aren't ready. I think it's a mistake, actually. It's obviously great winning games, and they're winning so many games that it's not like a Bulls where you're like 500 and it's like, oh, I don't know what to do. They're winning so many games. So now you're at a point where you kind of have to contend, but I think it probably would have been better if they weren't as good.
Let me ask you a question, because we had this conversation the other day, not on the pod, about how much getting to the finals matters for different fan bases. Do you feel like you would have a different opinion if this wasn't the Boston Celtics? Let's say that this was the exact same team, exact same situation, but it was, the Orlando Magic. Would you have a different opinion about going to the final, about a team having a chance of making it to the finals if their star player comes back?
I probably would, because Jayson Tatum, the Orlando Magic do not have a player as good as Jayson Tatum. Mm-hmm. So I'm putting this in the lens of, you have to think long term of how you can make the finals, because a 1-year finals run does mean a lot more if you don't have that one piece.
So I'm saying you take this entire Boston Celtics roster and you give it to the Orlando Magic fan base.
I'd be saying the same thing.
You feel like you'd be saying the same thing?
I would.
Okay.
Because I'm just, I'm a personal believer that you need a good big to win an NBA Finals. You need to be consistently good. Because I mean the Celtics, we're one quarter through the season. We don't actually know how.
But
good
there are decent bigs out there. I feel like Claxton is a guy that you constantly hear floating around in trade rumors all the time. Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford are guys that are probably going to be somewhat on the trade block this coming deadline.
But I don't think the Celtics are deep enough to give up good pieces. So I guess you'd give up future picks. I guess you'd be willing to
future
do that.
picks.
I don't know how many future picks.
Give up a Hugo Gonzalez. Give up I know you believe in those guys, but you're on the Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown timeline.
No, you are. I'd be willing to give it up. But also, you have to make sure the salary matches with that. That's also the problem.
True. Yeah.
So many things you have.
You don't think you'd give up like an Anthony Simons or something like that? You don't feel like they'd give that up? That is kind of their expendable piece.
I do kind of. Maybe the Mavericks. I mean, Anthony Simons is a better guard than anyone the Mavericks have.
Except I'd say Brandon Williams plays like a bit of a different guard role.
I mean, he's more of a legit point guard.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Mavericks would want that. And then who's your sixth man? You have. Oh, I guess it'd be back. Well. Then Pritchard is still the starter, and you don't have a six-man, like a scoring six-man type.
But maybe you
except Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser would be the only one.
I mean, yeah, that's true. But
so then I just think it's so much easier to create your contending roster in the offseason than the trade deadline. Unless you have a bunch of assets you're willing to give, which I just don't think the Celtics assets, like someone like a Hugo Gonzalez, probably has less value than he's actually worth.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, teams aren't trying to trade for a Hugo Gonzalez, but I do think long term he'd fit the Celtics really well.
Yeah. All right. Well,
so that's just our
kind of set our piece about that. Yeah.
And then you want to get to the power rankings? We could talk about the Pistons.
Let's save the Pistons for another week. Sorry to disappoint anybody. We will get to it eventually.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like the Pistons are going away anytime soon. So this will be a conversation that especially becomes more important the closer we get to the playoffs.
Are they in the Cup? Are they not in the Cup?
They're not in the Cup. No. So yeah, we'll talk about the Pistons. I think one of us definitely thinks they're more legit than the other one.
We have a whole season.
And just for reference, I had the Pistons going to the finals at the beginning of the season, so that should tell you who the believer is.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into our power rankings. This week was interesting. There was a lot of losing, just generally spread around. There weren't many teams that went on I felt like a big win streak, which made it kind of hard to go off of that. So I looked inwards and I looked at my soul and I said, who do I actually believe are the good teams? And I came up with what I came up with. So who started it last week? Was it me or you?
Pretty sure I did, so it's going to be you.
All right, I'll start it off this week. So I just want to throw a quick honorable mention to the Miami Heat. They did not make my top 10 this week. 0-3 this past week, even without Tyler Hero. You can't fault them too much for that, but it was really between them and this team I have at 10, and just overall, I do believe a little bit more in the top end talent of the team that I have at number 10. And at number 10, I have the Toronto Raptors. I came very close to dropping them out of my top 10. I had them at 9 last week, where they had dropped 3 spots previously. This week, they dropped to 10, which is 1 spot. The Toronto Raptors have struggled as of recently, and their offense has not looked very good. But this also comes along with a cold shooting streak from Brandon Ingram and no RJ Barrett. I feel like this team has 4 legit guys. When you look at their 4 guys, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, who can all get you 20 points. Quickley probably the least so of those guys, but even he, I feel like, is easily you could, write him down for 16 points a night. Jakob Poeltl is, not your prototypical modern big. In fact, he's the exact opposite because he cannot stretch the floor at all. But in terms of what the Raptors ask him to do, he's a good defensive big, he's a good rebounder, and he can finish well around the rim. I think that the Raptors are going through a cold stretch that is not indicative of what their season is going to look like. I do believe that they will look better moving forward, and I do believe in Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and RJ Barrett. At number 9, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is a team that I really don't know how to feel about a lot of the time, honestly. I didn't have them ranked last week, and it really comes down to their roster isn't constructed well. They don't have a true point guard. They don't have a great bench, in spite of the fact that they have Dante DiVincenzo and Naz Reid. So all of that works against them, but goddamn is Anthony Edwards good. I said a few weeks ago. I feel like he needed to take a leap in his numbers and in his performance in order for the Timberwolves to be a competitive team this year in terms of like what they want to be competing in the West. He went from like 25 points per game to like 29 points per game in a couple weeks. And he's also shooting 50, 41, 83, which is insane, right? Anthony Edwards has taken another leap. And that to me, it indicates that the Timberwolves should take a leap. At number 8, I have the Boston Celtics. We just talked about them at length, but the Boston Celtics are a team that has looked extremely good. They're winners of their last 5. Jaylen Brown has looked how a lot of people thought he would, being the number 1 option. I think he's averaging 27, 28 points per game. Derek White has turned up recently. Neemias Queta has been a good center. Peyton Pritchard doing Peyton Pritchard things. And then obviously you've got the younger players, the Jordan Walshes, the Hugo Gonzalez's that look like a promising future. And Anthony Simons has been doing his thing off the bench. So I think that the Celtics look like a really competitive team in the East right now. They also recently beat the Raptors, and I believe they also beat the Knicks. So they look good. They look competitive. I think Jayson Tatum coming back would be something that they should absolutely plan for, and they should plan for being a competitive team come April. At number 7, I have the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs they went 2-1 this last week, I believe. Yeah, 2-1 this last week. They just look the exact same. I didn't move them at all. I have no changed opinion on them. I think Victor Wembanyama coming back will be extremely good. They went 3-1 this last week? Yeah, 3-1. They look good. They look solid. They're maintaining. They're treading water. There's not much I really have to say about them. The New York Knicks, I have at number 6. Now, the Knicks continue to move up in my rankings, and I believe will continue to do so, although it's going to be hard to break past some of these teams that are in the top 5, because that has been my top 5 for like the last 3-4 weeks. But the New York Knicks have looked good. Jalen Brunson, obviously playing like the superstar that he is, and yes, I do say superstar. Josh Hart has finally started to get some of his rhythm back and play like, Josh Hart, which is a 6th Man of the Year candidate. Karl Anthony Towns doing Karl Anthony Towns thing. And then I do want to shout out specifically Miles McBride and Jordan Clarkson. They have been scoring well off the bench, and that is the exact punch that the New York Knicks have been looking for probably years, honestly. Like really since constructing this Jalen Brunson-led Knicks team, like back in 21, 22, whatever year it was, they have looked a lot better off the bench this year than they have in previous years, and that is an extremely encouraging sign for me. At number 5, I have the Houston Rockets. I've dropped them 2 spots, and that is because even though I didn't punish them too much for losing to the Jazz last week, you can't lose to the Jazz and the Mavericks within a calendar week and still maintain your spot. I think they're still a good team, but I do have some concerns about their defense, which is not something that I thought I would say about the Rockets when we talked about like defense versus offense, but their defense without Steven Adams in the middle does look a little concerning. I think Alperen Şengün moves his feet very well, and I think he is a great defender at the 4, but I don't think he's a good rim protector, and I think Steven Adams is important in the games where they've missed him, have highlighted that. And I also think that this roster is still figuring out its identity, and it's kind of at the point where it's like, okay, you guys, we're 20 plus games into the season. We need to kind of know who's the number 1. Is it just really by committee again? Because the whole point of bringing in Kevin Durant was to have not by committee, not scoring by committee. We were supposed to have a guy, like our one guy. But now it's kind of like sometimes it's Şengün, sometimes it's KD. Hey, sometimes it's Amen Thompson, but sometimes it's only Amen Thompson for one half. So I really do want to see someone become the number 1 guy consistently for that team. And I want to see, just more consistency in their style of play, if that makes sense. At number 4, I have the Los Angeles Lakers. I know I could have dropped them, for losing by 20 to the Celtics, but no Luka Doncic, no LeBron James. LeBron has obviously looked not like LeBron James, but still like a really good player. Luka Doncic has looked like an MVP candidate, and Austin Reeves has looked like a borderline All-NBA player. So I think that the Lakers are completely fine. DeAndre Ayton's also performing well. Gabe Vincent had a couple good games recently. Rui Hachimura is doing his thing. Genuinely, the Lakers just look like a very, very solid team. And that's why I have them at number 4. At number 3, I have the Denver Nuggets. I moved them up 2 spots, and that's because I have become more of a believer in this roster. I also believe once they get Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown back, they will be even better. And Nikola Jokic is playing like the best player on the planet. And shout out Jamal Murray, because I don't think we've given him his flowers yet this season, but he has been absolutely incredible as a hyper efficient second option. And he's also been pretty dang good on defense too. At number 2, I have the Detroit Pistons. Shouldn't be much of a surprise. They've continued to play well. Cade Cunningham has continued to look like an MVP candidate and an All NBA guy. Jalen Duren is looking like an All-Star, and I feel like deservedly would be if he was voted to the All-Star team. Jaden Ivey, we're gonna have to continue to see how he performs as he comes back from his injury. But overall, this team looks really good. They're meshing really well. The pieces like Duncan Robinson that they added in the offseason fit really well with this roster, and I am very excited to see this Pistons team continue to perform. And show that they are the contenders that I believe they are. And at number 1, shockingly, surprisingly, to everyone's complete disbelief, it's the Oklahoma City Thunder. What do I even have to say anymore? They're 23-1. That's it. That's my entire point. They're 23-1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. My power rankings. I'm not even going to give any honorable mentions. I don't care. If you didn't make this list, I honestly don't think that highly of you, because I don't think that highly of my number 10 slot, which is the Minnesota Timberwolves. What I will give the Timberwolves credit for is they know how to win games, because I think consistently when they're on the court, they're not that good of a team. But as long as they could just barely beat those tanking teams, I mean, a win is a win. So their record is amazing. It's really their big three. I'd say that has been playing amazing. Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, Jaden McDaniels. Those three have been amazing. And then Naz Reid, Gobert, those guys are iffy. Dante DiVincenzo should be a guy who's playing really well, but he's only shooting 41 from the field. And he chucks a lot of threes. I mean, it's going in 38% from three, but like sometimes I watch it and I'm like, wow, he gets so many more chances than any other sharpshooter I've ever seen. He should be way better. I do wish they played Rob Dillingham more. I wish they believed in any of their young guys outside of Terrence Shannon Jr., but unfortunately they don't. At number 9, I had the Miami Heat dropping, but I still have them in this list because they have the best coach in the league and they have all the pieces. Tyler Hero came back, played amazing. Unfortunately, he didn't play the last 2 games, like Cam was saying, and they did lose. But I think overall, they have like probably the most, I'm not going to say like a top 3-4 team in the league in terms of being balanced, in terms of having a 1 through 10, who like all of them are really solid. Norman Powell still having that all-star season. Bam Adebayo, Khalil Ware, they're building that chemistry. Sometimes Ware's off the bench, sometimes he's starting. I do like that they're trying both. They're testing things for the playoffs already, which I kind of like. But yeah, the Heat have been amazing. At number 8, last week they sucked, but overall for the season they've been amazing. Look, at number 8, I also have the Boston Celtics joining the list. Peyton Pritchard, Jordan Walsh. You know what? Jaylen Brown's been amazing. And I haven't had the Celtics on my list all year, so I will just go ahead and say it. Jaylen Brown's been playing like a guy who might make All-NBA first team, All-NBA second team. He's averaging 28 points per game on pretty good playmaking and pretty good defense. Jordan Walsh, though, has been that key factor that wasn't last year. Like, he was a guy who wasn't playing in the playoffs and was barely playing the regular season. No, he's been an elite defender with elite athleticism. I can't talk. And then he's been able to knock the 3 down a little bit this season. Shout out to him. And maybe the Celtics can be contenders if Tatum comes back and whatever, and they make a move at the deadline. But right now, I'm just going to appreciate what they're doing in the regular season, because this is the hottest they've ever been. At number 7, I have the Spurs up 2 spots from last week's number 9 spot. They are kind of proving me wrong. I mean, 3-1 last week without Wemby. Stephon Castle finally is back. Dylan Harper has been back for about like a week, maybe 2, but he's just now finding his groove. He did have a game this week where he went 1 for 11 against the Cavaliers, which is brutal. But he did have like 20 points in a close win against, was it the Pelicans? I think it was the Pelicans last night. So he played great then. De'Aaron Fox has been proving that he can be that guy. And hopefully he's a Chris Middleton to Giannis. Hopefully he's a Jamal Murray to Jokic. He's a guy who, and I know Wemby should be a top 5 player in the world, but he's the guy who should be taking the clutch shots at the end of the fourth quarter. So far this season, he has been ridiculously clutched in the games he's played since he's been back from injury. And then shout out guys, Julian Champagne's been great. Harrison Barnes has been great. They're another just super complete team. At number 6, I have the Lakers. I dropped them 2 spots from last week, and it's just for the sole reason of, you know what? We're getting closer and closer. We're not close, but we're getting closer to playoff time. And part of me, when I'm doing these rankings, a little bit is thinking about how they'll perform in the playoffs. And I don't think they're on the same tier as the top 5 teams. Austin Reeves has been amazing. LeBron finally had a good game. Good job, LeBron James. Greatest player of all time. One good game. Luka Doncic has missed a couple games due to the birth of his, daughter. I think it was daughter. I don't think it was son. Daughter. But they're still a great team. Ayton's been amazing. Roy Hachimura hit a game winner. I don't know if that was before last pod or whatever. But yeah, the Lakers have been great. It's just they aren't that top 5 level. Like at number 5, the New York Knicks, they finally climbed back. I think at one point I had the Knicks at 2 when they probably shouldn't have been, and I dropped them all the way down off the list. I had them at number 2 and then all the way off the list. They have finally climbed back to the top 5. I mean, just a complete starting lineup. It depends on what they want to do. Do they want to start Josh Hart, or do they like starting like a Mitchell Robinson next to Karl-Anthony Towns? But overall, that top six is elite. Miles McBride off the bench has been amazing. Jordan Clarkson has been finding his groove, and hopefully he can be a guy who, I mean, Jordan Clarkson has been known as a sixth man. Can he just be a seventh man? If he can be that consistently, the Knicks can be contenders. And then, yeah, Jalen Brunson's been playing like a superstar. And Josh Hart finally found his three-point shot back. Good for him. At number 4, I have the Detroit Pistons. I think they've still been great. I just think there's another team that climbed over them. But yeah, Cade's still doing his thing. Duran might be an all-star. They're slowly getting their pieces back. Asar Thompson's been playing some games. Everyone's becoming healthy. They've been a great team. At number 3, I had the Denver Nuggets. The fact that they've been able to find ways to win games. I understand that they have Jokic and they have Jamal Murray, but not having Christian Brown, not having Aaron Gordon, not having even like a Julian Strawther. These are, well, 2 of those pieces are bigger than the last one. But these are big pieces to be missing. Finally, Cameron Johnson has found his groove back. And yes, Jamal Murray, he's never made an all-star game. This could be the year that he gets finally an all-star. And I would absolutely love to see it. And then Jokic has still been playing like debatably the best player in the world. I wouldn't agree, but he's close. At number 2, the Houston Rockets. I didn't have them moving. It seems like, at least in my opinion, you overreacted a little bit to the Rockets. Listen, my mentality is if you're going to lose games to the bad teams, because come playoff time, that won't matter that you're losing to these bad teams. Yes, they lost to the Mavericks and the Jazz, but I will say the Mavericks have been heating up. I am a little worried with how up and down Amen Thompson is scoring wise. There's some nights he's scoring 4 points in a game, and then some nights he's scoring 30. I'd kind of rather him be a consistent guy. And you want to see like a Reed Shepherd be less consistent. Sometimes drop 30, sometimes drop 4. I don't want to see that from Amen. I want to know night in and night out, Amen Thompson's giving you 15 points, 17, 19, somewhere in that range consistently. And unfortunately, he hasn't figured that out. And then, yeah, Kevin Durant just isn't getting as many shots as I would want him to personally. Sengun has been out with an injury a little bit in this last couple weeks. I wouldn't be worried about the Rockets. And I still, honestly, I might even have them as my second favorite in the whole league when it comes to playoff time. It's hard to say that when you should really pick an East team, but yeah. And then at number 1, yeah, I don't really want to say too much. I will say they were missing Lauri Markkanen and obviously Walker Kessler, but the OKC Thunder at number 1, without Shea, beat the Jazz by 40. They beat them within a couple minutes. Within a couple of minutes of the game. They had Will Hardy screaming, cursing them out on the bench because he was pissed that they were losing to a team without their MVP. But shout out Chet. Probably should be in. There's so many different guys who should be all-stars. I can't wait till we actually make our list, make our fake little ballots, because I don't even know who I'm going to choose. Because honestly, Chet should be an all-star this season. He's been playing amazing. J-Dub has just finally come back from injury, and he's not playing J-Dub level, even though he did have 25 points against the Utah Jazz. But he's still been good, and he's playmaking-wise, he's been great. And then just everyone on that team. I mean, like what's his name? Is it Brendan Carlson, or is that the Kings guy? No, that is on the Thunder. He's been doing his thing. I didn't even know who he was before this season. I had to ask you what his name was.
Yeah.
I still barely know who he is.
Shout out to Utah, man.
They have like Chris Youngblood or something.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
They have they just have all these random guys, and honestly, it's a combination of culture and coaching.
Yeah,
something that every single other NBA team should be striving for. You can't say it's because of Shea. I mean, obviously Shea really helps that team, obviously, but it is a combination of culture and coaching that really makes everyone work as a unit like they do.
Yeah. No, I definitely think the more we get into this, the more credit we need to give Mark Daigneault as probably the best head coach in the NBA.
It's just so because Eric Spoelstra is obviously, he also gets the best of his players, but you can't deny Mark Daigneault. You can't.
No.
These 13th, 15th guys, that doesn't happen with the Heat.
No.
It's always like, oh, they find some undrafted dude and he becomes like a 10th man, and then the 10th man's dominating. No, the 13th, 14th man. Usman Jang has been actually great. Now, has he been playing a little bit of garbage time? Yeah, but he's been great as someone they drafted 12th in the draft. Man, give this man his flowers. I think undeniably a top 3 coach in the league. You want to say 2, you want to say him over, because honestly, in my opinion, it's between Spo, it's between Mazzulla, and it's between Daigneault.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I'm really missing someone, I don't think I am. As much as the Pistons have been great, I'm not going to give all that credit to make Bickerstaff a top 3 coach. I'm just not.
Yeah.
Redick, no. Mike Brown, no. Who's the Spurs replacement for Pop?
I don't know.
We probably should. Finch, definitely not. Yeah, I really think it's between those three coaches.
Mitch Johnson is the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs.
Okay. But yeah, it's between those three, and it's a huge gap after that. So yeah, that's our power rankings. We didn't disagree too much. I mean, we have kind of flipped, because before you were the big Rockets. For the first couple weeks, you always had the Rockets higher than me, and now it's changed.
Yeah. I just need to. I think because I was higher on them, I'm a little more disappointed in them.
Like you expected them. The thing is, like you can look at it at the Rockets and what they might be the 4th seed or something, but they're still on pace for 60 wins.
It's not record wise that I'm disappointed in. It's performance wise. I expected them to look better than they have this year. They looked good. They just haven't looked as good as the Thunder.
I guess, and maybe that's because I didn't expect them to be a good regular season team without Fred VanVleet. I expected them to be a team that only wins 53 wins.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I feel like I'm I could debate you, but I do also feel like a lot of your philosophies are based in playoff performance in those top teams, and to me it makes sense then why you have the Knicks over the Lakers. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Well, also I do value teams that are more on fire now than a couple weeks ago.
Right.
So I'm gonna value a Knicks. I'm gonna value I mean, we value the Celtics the same, but I value a Heat because I think consistently, the Raptors had that huge start and then kind of fell off. That's why I don't really have them anymore. But the Heat have consistently been going up, even if they had one bad week. But yeah. Okay, cool. That's our power rankings. And then, yeah, that's the podcast. Pretty regular size, Bob.
That's the podcast.
That's the podcast, yeah.
Yeah. If you guys enjoyed, please like, comment, or subscribe, or all three. I mean, hey. I know it's a lot to ask, but
if you made it to the end, can you comment, I like this podcast?
If you made it to the end, tell us what your favorite weird pasta is. What's your favorite I have no ingredients at home, I'm just gonna throw this together pasta to make? There we go. That's a good comment. That's an NBA relevant comment, right?
Yeah, I'd have to ponder on that.
Yeah.
But very NBA relevant.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway.
All right, if you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, and peace out.